Have you ever found yourself just staring at a blank page in an exam, with the clock ticking, trying to write a speech? Yeah, we've all been there. But what if I told you there's a kind of a secret blueprint for acing it? Well, that's exactly what we're going to cover today. How to write a speech that doesn't just pass, but hits every single mark for a top grade.
I mean, let's be real. Writing a speech is hard enough, but writing one under exam pressure, using texts you've only just laid eyes on, that is a whole different ballgame. It's not really about just writing, it's about strategy.
But hey, don't you worry because we're going to break it all down and make it super simple. In this explainer, you're going to learn the exact format to use, what the examiners are actually looking for, and some of the key techniques that are going to make your speech totally unforgettable. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the absolute basics of format, the difference between a speech and an article. Then, we're going to pull back the curtain on what examiners really want. From there, we'll deconstruct a top-scoring example, and we'll wrap up with a simple checklist for you to use. Sound good? Let's dive in.
Okay, first up, the basics. Why are we starting with format? Simple. First impressions matter a lot. Before an examiner even reads your first argument, they see how you've laid out your work. Getting the format right is like a secret handshake. It instantly tells them, hey, this student knows exactly what they're doing. And that, right there, is your first easy win.
Just look at the difference here. An article is formal, kind of distant, right? It's like reading a report. A speech, though, it's the total opposite. It's all about making a connection. You're not writing at someone, you are speaking to them. So you're going to want to use words like you and we. It's a completely different way of thinking, and it's absolutely fundamental to getting this right. And here are the nuts and bolts of how you do it. You have to start with a greeting, something like, "Good morning, everyone," and you always end with a thank you. You use contractions like I'll or we're because, well, that's how we actually talk. You can even throw in little fillers like well or so to make it feel more real. Seriously, these are some of the easiest marks you are ever going to get. All right, let's get to the really juicy stuff, figuring out how you're actually graded. If you know what the examiner has on their checklist, you can write your speech to tick every single box. It's time to decode that marking scheme. Okay, this right here might be the most important slide you see all day. Just look at this split. It is 60-40. Only 40% of your grade is for what you say, the content you pull from the text. A massive 60% is for how you say it. Let that sink in for a second. The quality of your writing, your structure, your vocabulary, that is where the big marks are waiting for you.
So let's break that down, starting with those reading marks. To get into that top bracket, we're talking 9 or 10 out of 10, you have to do a lot more than just make a shopping list of points from the texts.
Now, the marking scheme uses all this fancy language, but here's what it actually means in plain English. Selects a wide range means you absolutely have to pull ideas from both of the texts they give you, not just your favorite one. And analysis, evaluates, and develops, that is the secret sauce. Don't just spit a fact back out. Question it, expand on it, show the examiner you're actually thinking about this stuff. Okay, now for the writing section. Remember, this is the big one, where you can really rack up the points and show off a little. This is all about the craft of your speech. Again, let's translate this. Complex and well-developed just means your arguments are solid and convincing. Well-organized structure means your speech flows. It has a clear beginning, a middle, and an end. And check out those last 2 points, impressive vocabulary and a consistent tone. They're not separate things, they actually work together. Using great words helps you create that perfect, convincing tone. See how it all connects?
So theory's great and all, but let's see what this looks like in the wild. We're going to pull apart a high-scoring sample speech about whether zoos should be banned. This is going to show you exactly what those top-level criteria look like on the page.
So look at this opening. The student absolutely nails the tone from the get-go. Respected teacher and my dear fellows. Boom. Perfect. Then, instead of just stating a fact, they ask a question. They use emotional language like poor animals locked in cages to make the audience actually feel something. That's evaluation, and it's happening from the very first sentence.
Now, here in the middle of the speech, notice how the student isn't just saying a fact from the text. They take an idea, that zoos are fun, and they build on it with really powerful words. That phrase, flood of joyous memories, is so much more impactful than just saying people have a good time. This is exactly what examiners mean when they say they want a wide and effective vocabulary.
And check out this conclusion. A weaker speech would probably just relist the main points. But this candidate, they push the argument forward. They introduce a huge new idea,
an increase in biodiversity, and it leaves the audience with something really big to think about. That is a total pro move. So, after all that brilliant work, what was the final score? An incredible 23 out of 25. This just goes to show that if you focus on the format, you understand the marking scheme, and you use these techniques, a top grade is not just possible, it's right there for the taking.
Okay, so now it's your turn. We've seen what it takes, so let's boil it all down into one simple checklist you can use when you're practicing for your own exam.
Here it is, your 6-step checklist to a top grade. Number 1, nail that format. 2, use ideas from both texts. 3, don't just list points, evaluate them. 4, build a logical structure. 5, use language that makes an impact. And 6, always, always, always remember who you're talking to. Follow these steps and you are putting yourself in a fantastic position to succeed.
So, the next time you're faced with writing a speech in an exam, you've got the blueprint. You know the format, you know what the examiner wants to see, and you know how to give it to them. The only question left is, are you ready to go write your own high-scoring speech?